Imagine this for a second. You're making over $4 million per month. You drive $100,000 cars. You wear $40,000 watches. You walk around in $2,000 suits. You're surrounded by the most beautiful women in the world. And all your friends bow before your feet every single day. Well, what if I told you that this was a real story? What if I told you that someone had achieved what most will never achieve in multiple lifetimes? Well, this is that story. This is the story of Jordan Belfort, the real Wolf of Wall Street, and how he started with nothing and got away with stealing millions. Now, if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you've seen The Wolf of Wall Street. You saw Leonardo DiCaprio's award-winning performance and all the mayhem that illustrated Jordan Belfort's life on Wall Street. But there's a bit more to the story that you need to know. There's some details that you did not see in the movie that you truly need to know to understand how Jordan Belfort became rich. You see, to understand a con artist, we need to take you back all the way to the beginning. Jordan Belfort was born on July 9, 1962, in the Bronx of New York City. Both his parents were Jewish and both were accountants. They raised Jordan in Bayside, Queens. Now, this brings us to our first pillar of Jordan's success. Number one, his childhood. You see, no matter how successful you are, you gotta start somewhere. For a lot of us, this is our upbringing. How you're raised can have incredible impact on your future endeavours. The Jewish community has a well-known reputation for financial success and responsibility. Watching his parents and perhaps even absorbing some of their teachings may have been instrumental in developing Jordan's interest in money. Their accounting background may have even accelerated Jordan's business acumen and ability to handle money. Now, here's the thing about upbringing. You can have the best childhood experience ever and have amazing, business-savvy parents, but you're going to need a lot more than that if you're going to generate millions upon millions of dollars. To become the Wolf of Wall Street, you're going to need pillar number two. You see, lots of people grow up with great parents, maybe even wealthy parents, but not all of them end up becoming multi-millionaires. Jordan, however, had something inside of him, had an internal desire. He had a fire raging inside him. He had pillar number two, hunger. At an early age, Jordan had developed a natural hunger to do great things and earn money. As a kid, he was always developing side hustles to make some money, which ranged from delivering newspapers to performing magic tricks for kids. At one point during his high school years and into his college years, he actually sold ice cream at the beach. Him and his friends were at the beach and noticed lots of people were complaining because they had to walk about half a mile to the concession stand. It was at this point he came up with one of the most pivotal ideas of his life. The next day, he went to a distributor and bought a bunch of Italian ices, chipwiches, fudgesicles, and other snacks and loaded up a cooler. He went to the beach and sold his frozen snacks like a madman. Within 1 hour, he sold the entire cooler. Now, here's the kicker. The cooler costs $7. The ice cream snacks cost $15. In that 1 hour, he brought in $125 for a profit of over $100. Keep in mind, this was 1978. 1978! According to Jordan, the minimum age at the time was $1.20 per hour. He earned 100 times that in 1 hour. He even made more than his parents did that day. So, what did Jordan do next? The next day, he went to the beach with 4 coolers. Once again, he sold ice cream like a madman. He made over $400 that day. He had quadrupled what he made on that first day. Jordan and his friends continued to run this operation and allegedly made around $20,000 in one summer, which was a huge sum of money, especially back then, and especially for being such young men. Jordan's creative thinking and hunger allowed him to accomplish what many men his age could only dream of. Jordan was ambitious. He was a hard worker. He made lots of money. There was no doubt that he was going to do well in college, graduate from dental school, become a successful dentist, and possibly even open his own practice one day. Right? Well, you probably already know the answer to that question, and here's why the story gets a little interesting. In fact, here's the part of the story that wasn't exactly in the movie. Jordan eventually graduated from the University of Maryland at College Park with a degree in biology. He was then accepted into the University of Maryland School of Dentistry in Baltimore. On his very first day, the dean allegedly said the following: "The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here simply to make a lot of money, you're in the wrong place." Without even knowing it, that dean had changed the course of Jordan Belfort's life forever. Jordan's grandiose vision of becoming a wealthy dentist was destroyed. After just one day of dental school, he dropped out. He ended up moving back in with his parents and found a classified ad in the newspaper about a job in meat and seafood sales. He landed the job and proceeded to dominate. The average employee at that company was selling 4 to 5 boxes per day. On his first day, he sold 13 boxes of meat to the very first door he knocked on. By the end of the day, he sold all 35 boxes of meat he was assigned to sell. His very first week, he ended up selling 250 boxes. He was hustling, selling meat door to door like an obsessed man on a mission. It was at this point that Jordan discovered pillar number 3, motivating others. You see, Jordan could sell ice to an Eskimo. He proved that he could be a top salesman and break records. But what happened next was magical. People started asking Jordan how he got to be so good and how they could get to his level. Jordan started training others on his sales techniques, and beyond the sales training, he had a gift for unleashing the potential in others. You see, people will never forget how you made them feel. Jordan empowered his fellow sales reps by motivating them. Jordan was even asked to give sales meetings to pump up the office. On at least one occasion, he said something along the lines of, "You owe it to yourselves, you owe it to your families, and most importantly, you owe it to the people whose doors you're knocking on, because the food is so amazing that every last person who buys from you will be eternally grateful." You see, you may think that a simple skill like motivating others is some foo-foo stuff that doesn't breed any results. But here's the thing, people have no idea how Jordan would capitalize on his skill and talent of motivating others to build an entire army of salespeople down the road. Very shortly after, he decided to start a meat selling company of his own, along with his friend Elliot Lowenstern, who he sold Italian ices alongside with at the beach. With his sales and leadership skills, there was no doubt that his meat and seafood company was going to thrive. He was going to make millions. He was going to transform the meat industry, right? Well, little did we all know that this was going to lead to the first major failure of Jordan Belfort's career. Jordan's meat and seafood company started off great. Him and Elliot bought meat from a wholesale meat distributor in bulk and would sell it door to door, similar to what he did at his former employer. They certainly had success selling the product and eventually grew to about 27 trucks. Then, what started off as a dream quickly became a nightmare. It's one thing to have success making money as a salesperson. It's a whole other thing to have success making money as a business. Jordan found it difficult to manage the operations, employees, cash flows, inventory, etc., and ended up shutting the business down and filing for bankruptcy in his early 20s. This marked the first major failure in his career. A failed business and bankruptcy are traumatic enough to break many people, but fortunately for Jordan, he was a big believer in pillar number 4, perseverance. He would not give up on his dream on becoming wealthy. It was at this point Jordan decided to pursue a career on Wall Street, which is where the plot of the movie The Wolf of Wall Street began. He discovered his first job through an ad in the newspaper and began working at an investment banking firm, L.F. Rothschild. He was there for only about 6 months before getting laid off due to the massive stock market crash on October 19, 1987. From there, Belfort eventually landed a gig at a small, shady penny stock brokerage, the Investors Centre. This is where he learned the business of penny stocks. If you're not familiar with what a penny stock is, it's essentially a high-risk, low-price stock that's usually less than $5 per share. The brokerage would sell these stocks to middle to lower class investors, and believe it or not, as you may have saw in the movie, the commissions were big. In 3 months, Jordan was printing money, bringing in over $100,000 per month. Jordan, being the entrepreneur he was, eventually came up with the idea of selling penny stocks to wealthy people instead of focusing on the middle and low class. Around 1989, he walked away from the Investors Centre and started up his legendary and notorious firm, Stratton Oakmont, in Long Island. The business started off small and very legit. His idea of using his Wall Street level skills to pinch penny stocks to wealthy investors paid off. Big time. Jordan had finally put together a legitimate, successful, and sustainable business, and soon enough, things were going to get even crazier. Way crazier. Now, before we get into just how crazy things get, if you haven't already, please pound that subscribe button. It's completely free, and it'll help prevent scammers from robbing you of your entire life savings. So please, do yourself a favour, subscribe, or be scammed. This now brings us to pillar number 5, scale. If you simply want to make a 6-figure income, then stay small. If you want to be wealthy and earn 7 figures, or even 8 figures per year, then you want to grow. Jordan was the latter. Being a small operation was simply not enough. He needed more. Soon enough, he scaled his operations. And, soon enough, scaling legally was not enough to satisfy his hunger. Doing things the right way was simply too slow. Gradually, he started diving into shadier and shadier tactics. It wasn't long before he started deploying illegal tactics. Inch by inch, it became easier for the wolf to break the laws and make it a habit. Most notably, he was running pump and dump schemes. He would help take companies public and use his brokers to aggressively sell stocks, which would pump up their value. Once the prices were inflated, the brokers would then sell all their shares, make a ton of money, watch the stock price crash, and leave their investors who put all their trust in Stratton Oakmont with worthless shares. On top of that, brokers would use aggressive sales tactics, give misleading information, perform unauthorized trades, falsified documents, and even bribed people. In addition, Belfort also smuggled money overseas in Swiss bank accounts. As dirty as it all was, this took Jordan's wealth and power to new heights. By the mid-1990s, his company had over 1,000 brokers and generated over tens of millions in revenue per year. Jordan reportedly made about $50 million in a single year, and at one time made $12 million off one stock deal within 3 minutes. A combination of all his pillars, his childhood upbringing, his hunger, his motivating power, his perseverance, and his ability to scale transformed him from a dental school dropout to an 8-figure money printing machine. Unfortunately, Jordan Belfort could only get away with scamming people for so long. And if you're still watching this, I'm pretty sure you know what happens next.